And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, today we're taking a look at a small little game called Kryptos, breaking the code. Having cards in your hand and having other people guess what those cards are, and having some cards facing yourself and other cards facing that person. Tricky? Does it sound like Hanabi? It's not really like Hanabi. It's a little bit different than that. It's kind of like competitive Hanabi. That's not the best of definitions. Actually, let me just show you how it plays. In Kryptos, you have a bunch of cards that go from 1 to 48, and each card is a different color suit, and the suits are also differentiated by the different symbols at the top, so you can tell, and also by the stuff that's on them too. In the middle of the table, you're going to have this board which shows 1 through 48, and you can see 1, 5, 9, 13, 17, 21, 25, 29, 33, 37, 41, and 45 are all blue, etc. Now what you're going to do is you're going to take a number of cards depending on the number of players. So let's say you were playing a 4-player game, you would go from cards 1 to 36. Now in the advanced variant, and one that I recommend you use, you would add 4 more cards and then take 4 random cards out. So there's 4 cards that are not being dealt out to the players. The rest of the cards you get dealt out to the players. So in a 4-player game, let's say I get 9 cards, so 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I then take these cards and I put them in my hand in ascending order. So here I have 8, 9, 11, 13, 14, 24, 28, 31, and 35. I'm then going to take chips in front of me equal to the colors I've gotten. So I got 3 greens, 3 yellows, 2 blues, and a red. So 3 greens, I'll put in front of myself, 3 yellows, 2 blues, and a red. Everyone therefore can see the colors that are in my hand, but they don't know the exact cards that I have. However, I'm going to show everybody 2 cards from my hand. So I might take this 28 and turn this around, and now everyone else who's looking at my hand sees I have the 28. I take one of my yellow chips and show it on the 28 because everybody knows where the 28 is. And then I might show everybody the 13 and turn that around. And now the blue 13 is out here. And again, if you're playing with the advanced rules, which you should, you're not allowed to turn over the last or the first card in your hand. And you're also not supposed to show cards. There's only supposed to be so many of each color showing. Then the game begins. Now you'll notice in front of you, you have a point value card. You start with 2 points. You're trying to get 15 points. How do you get points? You simply look at someone else's hand, and you will point to a specific card and say, that card is a 24. I look at that card, it is the 24. So if that's correct, I will turn that card around and show you that you guessed it correctly. I'll put the chip here to show that that card has been found, and you score 3 points. Now, if you were incorrect on your first guess, you may make a second guess, but then you lose a point. So usually you want to be sure. If you're incorrect, the person will simply say no, and everybody processes that information. As the game goes by, more and more cards are going to be revealed this way. If you only have 2 cards that are hidden, it's a lot easier to guess what you have. Then it's only 2 points if someone guesses 1, and if you only have 1 card hidden, it's only worth 1 point for someone else to guess it. You don't lose any points for people guessing the cards in your hand. But, I guess you feel a little bit bad, I guess, when somebody does. The object, though, is to guess other people's cards using deduction, using the color chips that they have, using the way the cards are ordered in their hands, and what cards have already been picked. Again, first person to 15 is the winner. I think this game is very interesting, and I like the functionality of it. It comes in a small little box. The little clear poker chip things are really, plastic chips are easy to put on the board. The cards, I like how they're differentiated for colorblind people. Very easy to see. But there is one small productional problem with this game, and that is holding the hand of cards. You have to hold so you can see and other people can't, and so you're constantly, showing other people the part that they can see, and you have to hold these cards, and you're constantly trying to think about things, and sometimes you want to set your hand of cards down, and so you have to be very cautious on that, setting them down so other people can't see them, and you get tired of holding your hand of cards facing everybody else for the length of the game. I think the game would have been better served if it had some sort of tiles that you had basically played towards you so you could just turn those tiles around. It'd be easier for other players that way. That's a minor thing, really, but it is something that pretty much every single person has mentioned over the course of the game is like, I'm getting tired of holding these cards. Tiles, you get to just flip them around so other people can see them, and maybe they'll make a deluxe version someday with that. Now, as for how the game plays, it's very light and entertaining, but does have a very strong deduction element. If someone has two cards and there's a 45 and a 47 and there's one card in between them, you know that that's the 46, right? Very obvious. But if someone has a 10 and a 30 and there's one card between them, that doesn't help me at all, but it does help me know that the cards that are behind a 10 and in front of the 30, you probably have a lot more of those. And then listening to the questions other people ask. When someone asks a question, that's usually a pretty good indicator that they don't have that card unless they're being ultra tricky. So you can say, okay, they don't have it, and they ask that person, and that person doesn't have it. Well, and I don't have it. That only leaves this person. And with it, and the game has a very different feel when it's played with 3, 4, 5, or 6. It just has that. With 3, you know the cards are out there, and that's why I like to take 4 cards out, so that there's a bit uncertainty that maybe nobody has a specific card. Is it worth it to lose the point to guess again? Many times, yes, and most of the time, no, as I've found out to my chagrin. So, I don't know. I think this is a pretty cool game. I think people who like light deduction will have an enthusiastic time with it. I think people who like Hanabi and the idea of trying to figure out where all the different cards are in people's hands, I think they will also enjoy it. Don't let this one pass you by. A very neat little game, Kryptos. Dice Tower Judgment, approved.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
Come on, shut the door.
Well, we just...